Hey everyone, this is Dr. Suda Udaya, Academic Director of Skills Development Academy. If you're an internationally qualified nurse, maybe you trained in Sri Lanka, Nepal, the Philippines, India, Nigeria, Kenya, Zimbabwe, or anywhere with a similar diploma pathway, and you've been dreaming about working as a registered nurse in Australia, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to walk you through the entire Outcomes-Based Assessment Pathway, or OBA for short. This is the route most diploma-trained nurses from non-comparable jurisdictions have to take. I'll break it down stage by stage, what each step actually involves, roughly what it costs, and how long the whole thing takes. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete roadmap, from your very first eligibility check all the way to holding your AHPRA registration and applying for your visa. One quick disclaimer before we dive in. Rules and fees change, and this is general information, not legal or migration advice. I'll remind you again at the end where to double-check the current official numbers. Let's get into it. Before we go into the details, let's look at the full roadmap. The OBA pathway is usually completed in 8 main stages. You begin with the free eligibility self-check, then move into the assessment fee and portfolio submission. After that, you complete your English language requirement and identity verification. Once those early requirements are done, you move into the 2 major exams, the NCLEX-RN and the OSCE. After passing the exams, you complete additional registration requirements, apply for registration, and then plan your visa pathway. Most diploma-trained nurses from non-comparable jurisdictions are placed in Stream B. This means they usually need to complete both the NCLEX-RN and the OSCE before they can become registered in Australia. Everything starts here, and it costs you nothing. You'll fill out an online form on the AHPRA IQNM portal. That's the Internationally Qualified Nurses and Midwives portal. You enter your qualifications, your registration history, and your clinical experience. Based on what you submit, AHPRA sorts you into one of 3 streams. Stream A. Your qualification is considered substantially equivalent, so you get a simplified process. Stream B. Your qualification is relevant, but not substantially equivalent, which means you'll need to sit the NCLEX-RN exam, plus the OSCE. This is the OBA pathway, and it's where most diploma-trained nurses land. Stream C. Not currently registrable, meaning you'll need further steps before you can even start. Here's the honest truth. If you trained with a 3-year diploma in a country like the ones I mentioned earlier, you'll almost always end up in Stream B, unless you already hold a UKNMC, USNCLEX or Canadian pass, along with 1,800 plus hours of recent practice in one of those countries. If that's you, you might actually qualify for the newer 2025 streamlined fast track and skip the exams altogether. Don't skip this step. It tells you exactly which exams apply to you before you spend a single dollar. Once you've decided to move forward, you'll pay an assessment fee and set up your AHPRA account and portal. From there, you upload certified translated copies of your nursing diploma or degree certificate and transcripts, a certificate of registration status or good standing from your home country's nursing council, evidence of any pre-registration licensing exam you've already passed, ID documents, and evidence of any name changes if applicable. AHPRA then verifies all of this against Australian standards, and this can take several weeks, so patience is key here. Roughly speaking, the IQNM assessment fee itself is around 410 Australian dollars, and document translation and certification can add another $20 to $100 per document. The Certificate of Good Standing fee varies depending on your home country's nursing council. Think of this as the gatekeeper stage. Passing it confirms you're cleared to sit the OBA exams, rather than being rejected outright. Next, you'll need to submit an approved English test result and complete biometric identity verification. Your two main options are IELTS Academic, where you'll need a score of at least 7.0. This runs roughly 400 to 465 Australian dollars equivalent, depending on your country. OET, the Occupational English Test, where you need a grade B. This one runs about 450 to 600 Australian dollars equivalent. The biometric ID check is usually included in your application fee. Two important notes here. This is a non-negotiable NMBA registration standard. There's no way around it. And your test results are only valid for 2 years, so timing matters. Don't sit this too early, or you might have to retake it later in the process. Now we get into the real exams, starting with the NCLEX-RN. That's stage 1 of the OBA. This is a computer adaptive exam that can run up to around 5 hours, testing your clinical knowledge, reasoning, and safe practice decision making. The good news: it's delivered through Pearson VUE test centres in most countries, so in most cases you won't need to travel to Australia for this one. Cost-wise, you're looking at a $200 registration and exam fee, plus a $150 international scheduling fee, so around $350 total. If you want a prep course, private providers charge anywhere from $600 to $1,500 plus Australian dollars. Passing the NCLEX proves your theoretical competence and unlocks your eligibility to book the OSCE. Just keep in mind, you'll have a 90-day window to sit it once you're authorised. This is the big one, stage 2 of the OBA. And honestly, the stage most people are researching when they find this video. The OSCE is a hands-on multi-station clinical simulation exam. And here's the key detail. It's held only at the Adelaide Health Simulation Centre in South Australia. That means you will need to travel to Australia for this one. No way around it. During the exam, you'll move through stations testing practical skills like medication administration, patient assessment, communication, and emergency response, using simulated patients or mannequins. There's also a timing rule to know. You must pay the OSCE fee within 120 days of passing the NCLEX, and then sit the exam within 180 days of paying. Let's talk costs, because this is the expensive stage. The OSCE exam fee itself is 4,000 Australian dollars. An optional prep course runs around 5,000 Australian dollars. Travel and accommodation in Adelaide, flights plus 1 to 3 weeks stay, can be anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 Australian dollars, depending on where you're flying from. And you'll also need a visa to enter Australia to sit the exam, typically a visitor visa, around 190 to 365 Australian dollars. All in, this stage alone can run 6,000 to 12,000 Australian dollars. But here's the payoff. Passing it means AHPRA and the NMBA formally recognise you as having graduate-level Australian RN clinical competence. It's the single biggest step toward registration. Alongside or after your exams, there are a few more boxes to tick. An international criminal history check through an approved vendor costing roughly 50 to 150 Australian dollars. Orientation Part 1, done online before registration. This is free. Orientation Part 2, completed after registration within 6 months, also free. These are smaller steps, but don't overlook them. They're still required before your registration is finalised. Once all the standards are met, AHPRA issues an application form through your candidate dashboard. The initial registration and application fee is around $193 and then you'll pay an annual renewal fee of about the same amount every single year to keep your registration active. Paying this fee is the moment your name officially appears on the National Register as a registered nurse, Division 1. This is the actual license. It's what legally allows you to practice as an RN anywhere in Australia, and it's the credential employers and visa sponsors will ask for. Here's something a lot of people don't realise. Registration alone does not give you the right to work in Australia. You'll also need a visa, running in parallel with or after this whole process. The two most common routes are an employer-sponsored visa, subclass 482 or 186, if a hospital sponsors you. A skilled independent or state-nominated visa, subclass 189, 190 or 491 if you qualify on points. Costs here can include a skills assessment, if required, for a points-tested visa, around 500 to 1,000 Australian dollars. And the visa application charge itself, which can run $4,000 to $5,000 plus Australian dollars for the main applicant. More if you're bringing dependents. If you choose to use a migration agent, that's optional, not compulsory, and typically costs $1,500 to $5,000 plus. So, putting it all together, what does the whole journey look like? Here is the full cost breakdown stage by stage. The self-check is free. The IQNM assessment and documents may cost around $450 to $900. The English test may cost around $400 to $600. NCLEX-RN, including optional preparation, may range from about $500 to $2,000. The OSCE is the biggest cost, including preparation, travel and exam fees, and may range from about $6,000 to $12,000. You also need to budget for the criminal check, registration fee and visa costs. Altogether, excluding a migration agent, the total can be around $12,000 to more than $22,000. And in terms of time, the typical OBA process, from your very first self-check to holding registration, takes about 9 to 12 months, assuming you pass your exams on the first attempt. If you need a retake on the NCLEX or the OSCE, add extra time and extra cost on top of that. Now, I know that total cost looks intimidating. So let's talk about what you actually get at the end of this. Full, unrestricted registration as an Australian registered nurse, recognised nationally. Access to one of the world's higher-paying nursing job markets, with strong demand thanks to ongoing workforce shortages. A credential that's also respected internationally, which can support onward migration or work in other comparable jurisdiction countries later. And eligibility for permanent residency pathways via skilled migration once you're registered and employed. For a lot of nurses, this pathway isn't just about the job. It's about the door it opens for your whole future and your family's future. Before I wrap up, a few honest warnings. First, fees, stream rules, and the streamlined pathway criteria are actively evolving. There was a major change back in April 2025. Always confirm the current rules directly at AHPRA.gov.au and nursingmidwiferyboard.gov.au before you commit any money. Second, be careful of private agencies overstating guarantees. AHPRA and the NMBA run the OBA process directly. Prep courses are optional, not mandatory. Nobody can guarantee your pass. And third, this video is general information, not legal or migration advice. For anything visa-related, please consult a registered migration agent, MARN registered, or go straight to the Department of Home Affairs. So that's the full OBA pathway, start to finish, from your free eligibility self-check, all the way through NCLEX, OSCE, registration, and your visa. It's a long road, and it isn't cheap, But thousands of nurses complete it every year, and with the right preparation, you can too. If this video helped you get a clearer picture of the journey ahead, do me a favour. Hit that like button, subscribe for more content on nursing, migration and exam prep, and drop a comment below telling me which stage you're currently on. I read every single one. In the next video, I'll be breaking down exactly how to prepare for the NCLEX-RN and the OSCE, station by station, so make sure you're subscribed for that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.